Welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it? I think it's been like over a year since we did one of these. But I just felt like doing one. It's a little podcast episode on your run of the mill Thursday, midday, 4th of June 2020. That's a 12:34 on the PM on the clock right there. It was meant to be. It's been so long that I've forgotten how to talk. Welcome back to the Phoenix Rain podcast. Whoever's listening. I thought today we might start by reading a little story that I wrote a long time ago, which is inspired by a song called Dominos by the music group Clipping. But I gotta find this short story. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in my documents hidden on this computer, which has all kinds of mysterious stuff scattered everywhere. I wonder where it could be. How have you been? I've been doing nothing. Here it is. The story has all kinds of different names for it because I originally wrote it as a sort of like a little... I don't know what the word is. I wrote it as part of the process for getting into university. I was applying at RMIT in Melbourne, and they wanted people to write a story, keep it to 1 or 2 pages. I think 2 pages. And it was supposed to have like a clear beginning, middle, and end. And because I was applying to get into the film course, it was... they wanted it to be a very sort of... to keep in mind that film is a visual medium, I believe is the words that they used, and take that into account while you're writing your story. Try not to describe things too much. Try to let events happen by just by showing rather than telling. So, taking that into consideration, I wrote this short story. The prompt that they gave me, I think there were 3 different prompts, and the one that I chose was called The Games Children Play. So that was the original title. I ended up sort of changing the title to Like Father, Like Son a long time ago. But now I don't know what the title is. It's just a short story that I wrote. Screams of pain and joy, happiness and horror, wickedness and weakness. They soar through the playground. A group of boys push and shove each other, struggling to see the violence on the ground before them. Clothes tear, bones ache, skin splits, as small fists smash through small teeth. There's blood in Max's mouth. Whether it belongs to him or the boy on the ground, Max doesn't care. It tastes good, like triumph, like strength and power. Billy's got a lot of blood on his face too. It's coming out of his nose and staining his new shirt. Billy cries and Max hits him again. He can hardly hear the wild children around him, telling him to hit Billy again, telling him to stop, telling him Mr. Musket's here. The ground beneath Max's knees sinks away. Billy Tamlin sputters as he is lifted by another teacher, and all the screams fade as Musket carries Max up and away. He's sitting in the office now. Mr. Musket's behind the desk, and it's just the 2 of them. Billy's in the first aid room, so Max and Musket sit in solemn silence while the clock on the wall goes tick, tick, tick. Musket finally raises his eyes from the papers on his desk. It's that look you never want to get from the principal. You know the one. The look that makes you know that you were always guilty, and you are always going to do the wrong thing. I've called your father. He's not happy, says Musket. Max doesn't speak. His eyes sting as he strains to hold back those tears. Tick, tick, tick goes the clock. Well, why were you fighting, boy? Tick, tick, tick. Musket sighs. He cannot reach this boy. Max has no fear of Musket, this man who cannot touch him. No, the fear swells at the thought of his father. He can see those big red hands flashing through the air, striking his cheek and making the skin hot. He can smell the sourness of sweat and beer. He can see the fury of the father. He can see it already. And then the fear sinks in his stomach. It crawls up his spine and burns through his tear ducts. "It's all right, boy, you don't need to cry," Musket says awkwardly. He shifts in his seat, unsure. Max wipes away the tears, and Musket says, "Listen." And then the door opens quickly, and there looms the father. Dark circles beneath wild eyes, sweat stains down the sides of his blue wife-beater, pink fists clenched tight. Max looks up at him and closes his eyes hard at the thought of the strap. Tonight, the strap comes. He follows his dad back to the car. Max remembers all that. He pulls the car into the curb. He puts it in park. He opens his door and catches a glimpse of himself in the side view mirror. Dark circles. He needs more sleep. Children scream as they chase each other around the playground. Their screams are so loud. Entering the building, Max catches a whiff of that old school smell. Brings back more memories. Past the office, past the first aid room, to the principal's office. His neck is tight, his knuckles white. He realizes he's clenching his fists tight. He's angry. But the bloody boy should know better. He's angry. The bloody boy's been fighting again. So angry. Those pink fists twitch. They want to break something. The boy will get what's coming to him. Oh yes. He needs to learn. He needs to learn so he doesn't end up like... Well, so he doesn't throw his whole life away. Max will show him. Max will make sure he knows. Max throws open the door, and there's the boy, red-faced, tears in his eyes, so little. Max has to hold his fury all the way back to the car. He can't slip up in front of the school staff, so he holds it in, and it keeps holding as they walk. A clock on the wall goes tick, 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 and Max holds it in. He holds it just long enough to think about it. He thinks about it. And like dominoes, the thoughts tumble in, one after another. Is this boy so guilty? Will giving him the belt really teach him? Why am I so angry? Do we ever really grow up? I want my child to have a better life than I did. Max opens the door for his son. So I wrote that a couple of years ago, and you can definitely see the influence that the original song, which is sort of a rap song, very experimental rap song, called Dominos by Clipping. You can see the influence that had on it. That story is sort of about, it's similar. It tells the story of a young boy who has his experiences of, with his dad telling him certain things, teaching him the ways of being a man, how to grow up and everything like that. And then it sort of flashes forward, and that kid's now grown up, and he recognizes the sort of like destructive nature and the negativity of his upbringing, but he still enacts that same kind of negativity on his own son and tells him the same exact things and does the exact same stuff that his father did. And it's a really, really cool story in the song. And so you can see I've got alliteration, I've got a lot of repetition, I've got rhymes here and there as well in the short story. This is probably, at least at the time, it was the best thing that I'd ever written, I thought. I don't know what the best thing I've ever written is now. I've got a few scripts that I really, really like. But yeah, this was a short story that I was pretty proud of when I wrote it. So, what else are we doing? What else is new? We've been going for 10 minutes. So you'll be able to hear the street outside. I've got the window open, letting in some fresh air, which is very important. I've been using this time during quarantine to become a god gamer, which is Well, that's technical talk. You don't need to worry about that. It just means that when it comes to video games, there is no one else on planet Earth as good as me. Specifically, Warzone. Have you been playing Warzone? You gotta play some Warzone. It's too good. It should be illegal for a game to be this good. It is a battle royale, and I think it's the biggest sort of in terms of how many players they fit into a match. They get 150 players into a match. Every other battle royale before that has only sort of gotten up to 100. 150 is awesome. It's so much better. It's sort of like they looked at the pros and cons of every battle royale out there and realized the things that people actually like and things that are really shitty. Like, for instance, you always die so quick, and then it's like, great, you have to queue for another map and or another match rather. And it could be a few minutes before you get back into the game. When every time you die, it's always just like, get me back in immediately. I need to like redeem myself for the death that I just suffered. So they have the gulag system. When you die the first time, you get sent to the gulag, where you get a second chance. You got to fight in the gulag, and if you win, you get to go back out to the field. If you lose, your team can buy you back. So it's got a few sort of second and third chances there, which makes it better. It's more accessible. It's more forgiving, which is a good thing. The problem with something like PUBG is that it was so unforgiving, and it took so long, so much practice to become anywhere near good at that game. You would fire your guns, and because they're just trying so hard to emulate realistic weapon physics, you end up with just the most inaccurate, difficult to use guns in any game ever. And that game, PUBG, was always just crawling prone through like the dust in this expansive map, never seeing another player throughout the entire game, slowly looting and finding equipment, and then suddenly you get shot in the head from across the map by a sniper who's been playing this game every day since it came out. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. You don't get any fun out of it. PUBG was a waste of money. Oh yeah, by the way, that's one of the best things about Warzone. It's free. How can it be free? It's so good. You don't even need to buy Modern Warfare with it. You can just play Warzone. It's so good. I think Fortnite was so popular because it was free. And they had that interesting sort of mechanic of building and being able to build your way out of a situation. But it kind of like, I don't know, what you would always end up with was like, well, it's sort of like they sacrificed the gunplay and actual combat for building that mechanic, which is cool. It's its own unique thing, and nobody else can copy them. But you would end up with giant towers that circle up into the sky at the end of every match, and the circle's closing, and you climb these towers, and you're up there, and it's just sort of like, I don't know. It's it's almost tedious, and it's very repetitive. Every match kind of ends the same. So yeah, I've got a little bit of a sniffle. I think I'm getting hay fever. It's not a cold, and it's definitely not corona, don't worry. If I were to put myself in my head before the coronavirus pandemic, back when I recorded the last episode of this podcast, and I said in however many months, or like a year and a half or so, it's been a long time, it's been about a year, I think, and I told myself, you're going to spend 4 months sitting inside, playing games, doing nothing. I would have been like, fuck yeah, what do I sign up? But also, like, I don't know, it's the most unbelievable thing. I remember, maybe in February, it was more like 3 months, 2 months, 2.5. In late March or early March, we were all sort of like laughing about it and thinking, man, everybody's overreacting. Like, the chances of actually catching it are so slim, and it doesn't even do anything unless you're old, which is like something I heard so much with people saying, "Oh, it only affects old people." Okay, great. It's still affecting those people though. Young people and old people, like very young, like babies, and then really old people. And so many people around my age, including myself at first, were just like, "Yeah, it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be fine." Sick. What about all the people that it does affect? I don't know. I think the moment that I sort of realized how real it was when they cancelled they cancelled E3. And I was like, how can you do that? How can you cancel E3? I'm looking at the waveform right now and I'm seeing a huge spike just a couple seconds ago. So whatever that is, I apologize. I think I made a big sound. But they cancelled E3 and I was like, that's okay. Shit just got real. They're not playing around now. And then they canceled the NBA and people started premiering their movies in Fortnite. That was really weird. I'm sure it was the intended experience, Christopher Nolan's intended way for the audience to watch his new epic film, Tenet, is on a shitty drive-in movie theater in a video game online. I haven't watched any of the trailers for Tenet. I'm avoiding everything as much as possible. I think trailers ruin films for me. It gives me expectations. I'd rather go into a film with no expectations at all. I think I enjoyed Interstellar so much. I thought even the name Interstellar was a spoiler. I was like, now I know that it's set in space. And that they're going to go interstellar at some point. But it still didn't ruin the film. I mean, that's one of my favorite movies. Gone Girl, I didn't watch the trailer for Gone Girl. I don't think if it's a movie from a director who I'm like, hell yeah, whatever you do, I'm going to like it. I think most recently it would be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't watch any trailers for that, or I tried not to. But if you're going to see films, they do show trailers in the movie theater. So you can't really avoid it unless you close your eyes and block your ears. Which I have done in the past. For Interstellar, I think, I blocked my ears and closed my eyes. I was like, I don't want any spoilers. I don't want to know anything. Or maybe it was Dunkirk. I just didn't want to know anything. Dunkirk. What a weird movie. Like, good. Right? Is it? I don't know. Sam and I both got bored when we watched it. I need to watch it again. I think I need to give it a second chance. Same with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was bored throughout most of the film, and then the last 20 minutes was epic. And it was just kind of like... I spent the whole film sort of waiting for something to happen. And... I don't know. Nothing happened. It's not a movie where there's like plot or story. It's just like, this is the characters and this is what they're doing. And then at the end, something crazy happens. And it's just, I feel like if I watched it again, I have a greater appreciation for it. I'll probably enjoy it more because I won't be like waiting for something crazy to happen the whole time, some plot twist or anything like that. I think in the advertising, which, yeah, I did end up seeing trailers for that. I couldn't avoid it. Short of blocking my ears and closing my eyes tight in the movie theater, I ended up seeing the trailers. I wish that they hadn't put the Manson family in the trailers. And that way it would have been a surprise. Or if I had managed to just not watch the trailers. Fun fact, the guy who played Charles Manson, I know him. Well, I don't know him. I worked on a film with him. Had conversations with him. Nice guy. His name's Damon Harriman. He was in The Nightingale. Directed by Jennifer Kent back in like 2018, I think. 2017. I think it came out in 2019. And we shot it in like 2018. I don't remember. But I was an extra in that film. I still haven't seen it as well. Sorry, Jen. I'll get around to it. Although I had people message me and say, hey man, I loved your little cameo in The Nightingale. And a screenshot of my face, which is is great. It's very funny. I still don't know if I'm, I don't know. I remember them shooting it and I was sort of like standing behind people and not really center focused in any way, but then people are saying, oh no, you got like a close-up. And I'm like, dude, did I? I don't remember that. I don't remember them filming that. I remember Reddick, the cameraman, the cinematographer, sorry, framing up and just looking at how the lens would make my face look, just using me for framing. But maybe he actually recorded a shot just because, why not? Speaking of filmmaking, we finished a short film shooting in Tasmania. We finished it, I guess, sort of at the end of last year. And, wait, did we? At the end of last year? Yeah, we finished around November last year, I think. It feels like so long ago now. I guess it is. It's a while ago. It's half a year, but still not that long. But, yeah, shake and dance through the Nerve Initiative. It was an interesting process working with Wide Angle Tasmania and their assigned mentors. Interesting in that we didn't feel that we needed mentorship throughout the process, but it ended up being valuable. We made the film, and I think our philosophy was just every time we've made a film, we have been on set. Every set that Sam and I have been on has been kind of depressing and uncomfortable. So I think we really wanted to create the best possible set that anyone had ever seen in Tasmania. And it kind of worked. Like, we spent $1,000 on food, and we were playing music in between setups. Like most sets that you go on, everyone's cold, unhappy, kind of angry at each other, and they all think that everybody else isn't doing their job, and they're hungry and really tired, and nobody's inspired. Nobody cares about the film that they're making. Like, often not even the director even knows what film they're making, and they certainly don't care, and everybody just wants to get it shot and get home. And I'm guilty of being in that mindset as well. It's too easy to fall into that mindset when you're on a film that isn't yours, especially. So for this, we thought that we need to just have a lot of food and make people comfortable and happy, and above all, we wanted to just have fun on set, and that was the most important thing. And we thought, at the end of this, if we have fun and we're inspired while making this film, it's gonna be good. Like, it's gonna be good enough, no matter what we do. Like, as long as we were inspired and actually, like, having fun, we will fall into that sort of working process where it's called flow, I think it's called. It's just where the work that you're doing is just challenging enough that it is engaging and fun, but it's just easy enough that it's not too hard and you lose patience and you don't want to do it anymore. And we were there. We totally had that. It was great. It was perfect, actually. We had just enough time to finish on time every day, just in the mid-afternoon. Every film set always finishes, they say, yeah, we'll wrap at 5 p.m. We go 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. more like. And it ends up being, oh, can you come in an hour early? Scratch that. Make that 2 hours early. Oh, by the way, sorry guys. We're running behind schedule. We're going to have to cut into lunch a little bit. How long is lunch? An hour? Cool. We're going to cut in 55 minutes. Oh, we're running a little late, guys. Sorry. Can you all stay back for an hour or two? Or 3 or 4 or 5? You end up staying until 1 a.m. when you were supposed to wrap at 5. And they go, sorry guys, no overpay. You're all here volunteers. Because that's the Australian independent film industry. Nobody gets paid. We were not able to pay anybody. Our insurance actually didn't cover it. So we thought, how do we pay people? We pay them with the experience. We pay them with food. Food is very important on a independent film set when no one's getting paid. You got to feed them real well. And we hopefully pay them by, well, yeah, just the experience, by making them comfortable and happy, and hoping that they got something out of it, which I think they did. We had a dream team. We spent so long trying to find people to crew on this film. I think in Tasmania, people are getting a little disillusioned with filmmaking because they're starting to realize how crap every fucking set is. It sucks. And so it was so hard to find crew for this film. Like, hey dude, you're my friend, and I know that you know about films. Can you help out? And it's like, well, no. Sorry. I've got work. And it's like, no one's working right now. What are you talking about? It's like holidays. Sorry. I'm not doing anything. But I still don't want to help out. It's like, alright, sick. No worries. And we ended up getting like a few people who were like fresh out of college, fresh out of like uni or whatever, still in uni, who hadn't really made anything before, who just wanted to be a part of it. And I think because of our energy on set and our approach to making the film, that is, making it a film that is fun to work on, people had fun and people did a good job. And I think it was a really good experience for everyone. And once we finished the film, like, I was pretty happy with the cinematography. That was my role, producer and cinematographer. I wouldn't produce a film again, I think, unless it was something I really cared about. I don't think I could just be a producer on anything. It has to be a film that I really that means something to me. Which Shake and Dance really did. But yeah, cinematography was like pretty good. There were a couple of shots where I was like, I don't know. You can see it in the final product. Unfortunately, a few shots are slightly out of focus here and there, but then they go back into focus, and it's not perfect. I would rather it was perfect, but that's okay. And excitingly, I've got a project coming up. Straight out of quarantine and into a film set is really, I couldn't ask for anything better. It's really cool. And the guy who sort of got me involved is somebody who was part of the same filmmaking initiative back in Tasmania. He worked on one of the films that was produced as part of the Nerve initiative with Wide Angle. And so that'll be really cool to work with this guy. That'll be awesome. It's just going to be fun to do cinematography again. I'm really excited. Anyways, we're at 27 minutes, and I've realized that there's only really, I don't know, it's not worth making the podcasts an hour long, 2 hours, 3 hours like that one, which is just ridiculous that just went on and on and on. So I'm thinking that I'll just end these at around half an hour long. We'll see when I do another one. It might be a while. I might not do another one for a year. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. See you next time.